Hello, welcome to FPLIQ, and I'm back again with Ryan, Football Chatbox, Planner FPL and Teacher FPL Lucian, who dramatically just walked in at the end there. That was pretty. that was quite nice. I like that. We should have entrances like that all the time, like darts walk on. You know, in the darts, you see it when they walk on to music. Anyway, I'm already sidetracked, and we're literally 23 seconds into the stream. So let's get into what we're going to talk about today before we say hellos. First big talking point is the selling of Haaland. Are we selling him? Have we already sold him? Some of us have, and I can't tell you why. I don't know why, but we'll talk about it. So, oh my God. Player pick review. We're going to look at the players that we've had for each position for the last 4 game weeks. How have they got along? Then we're going to move on to the new player picks for the next 4 game weeks, who we have our eyes on for each position. Then it's the matchups. Liverpool against Manchester United, with the side questions of, are any Manchester United assets on our eyes? Because from game week 17 to 26, they are actually third on the fixture ticker, and we're going to have a lot of assets going away to African and Asian competitions. And is Trent worth it? For 8.2 million now, he is. And for Newcastle of Fulham, the second matchup, are we getting a bit shaky on Newcastle players? A little bit of jerks in our knees, a bit twitchy. So how many assets is it to still hold, or is it now maybe time to even think about selling? And just a quick chat about Fulham. Are they being flash in the pan, or becoming assets with some recent form that we should maybe start to look at? Because I know in pre-season and for most of this season, I've been really negative on Fulham. In pre-season, they're just a team that we'd never really look at, but they're smashing the goals in at the minute, and they're not exactly against the easiest of teams. So we'll have a look at that before rounding off with captaincy. So how are we doing? Ryan, are we having a good week? Freaking out like I am?
No, not freaking out. Not too bad. Doing all right. Made my early transfer way early in the week. And now I just had to wait and see whether I need to take a -4 with regards to Haaland. That's basically it.
Well, I'm already on a -4, so they're rookie numbers. You're gonna have to, like
I should raise my game.
you need to pump those numbers up. Speaking of pumping those hit numbers up, because there's another fellow I'm going to talk to who's also teetering on a hit. TN, how's your week going, mate?
Last week wasn't too good. This week, worse. So currently got two playing defenders, because the other 3 decided to take a week off before Christmas or something. Decided to get their 5th yellow together. Haaland's obviously flagged, and Gordon just picked up a yellow flag as well. So yeah, fun time ahead.
The last 2 weeks,
with one free transfer.
The last 2 weeks have been awful. I got 24 points 2 game weeks ago, which is just, the average was 35, so no one had a great week. But even last week, I've somehow walked away with a green arrow, and it's literally because of Son and Salah, because my entire team got 1s and 2s and even -1s. Literally 2 players got me a green arrow. So in the last 2 game weeks, apart from 3 players, and Burmo when he got injured, and Salah and Son, my entire squad has done nothing for 2 game weeks. Nothing.
It's not even Salah. It's just Son. It's just Son, purely. If you had Son, you had a green. If you didn't have Son, you didn't have a green this week.
Yep. And that's why I backed the king. The Korean king. There's too many kings. The Salah king, the Son king, Haaland, Viking. There you go. Lucian, how you doing, mate?
I love that pun so much.
It's good, wasn't it? How about that? That was just straight out of the brain.
Did not expect that. That made my week, because it has been so shit. What can I say? Son continues to ruin my season at the wrong times. People ask me whether I should have gotten Son last week, and then I, don't worry about hindsight. I keep telling people, oh yeah, Son's the kind of player that will get you the double-digit haul and then like 2s for 3 to 4 games. So if you missed it, then just wait, like 1 to 2 games, wait for the good fixture to roll around, and then he gets 2 double-digit hauls in a row. So I still think that FPL this season is difficult because there are a lot of unforeseen factors that we just cannot account for, right? And literally nobody would have expected Richarlison to start this week as the number 9. That happened to amplify Son's potential. And that's just something, you'd have to be like an absolute insider or wizard to see coming before, making proper decisions. Otherwise, if somebody told me that Son would play left side against Trippier, I'd be like, yes, give me some of that. But in hindsight, a lot of, injuries happen. And I think without ranting too much, what I really want to stress on is that, well, it's this period where a lot of teams go really truly inactive because of missing deadlines, and it's important to make sure that even if you miss a deadline yourself, even if you can't decide, just wait on it and have 2 free transfers, because that's where your power truly is. So I think, we should just utilize this midweek periods to our advantage. Oh, and full credit to content creators who are on the grind non-stop, like people who put out material between midweek game weeks are really, they deserve my absolute respect.
Yeah, and I think we're trying to do shorts. So when there's a midweek deadline, we've all got access to the account. And we'll post some quick questions and like who to captain or something about our teams. But we can't get together and do that, especially because of our time zone. It's even worse for us because we sort of miss a day because of the way. So the deadline for us is like 2 in the morning, I think, for me, and 4 in the morning for you guys, or 5 in the morning. It's 2:30 a.m. for me. So Tien and Ryan, what's the deadline for you?
5:30.
Like, they're both rubbish, but yours is slightly better because if you're an early riser for work, like, you might just get up half an hour earlier in your morning. But 2:30 for me is just like, it's dead. Like, I'm up at half
Saturday
6.
morning, I want to sleep in.
Well, it is Saturday, yeah, because it's Friday night football for the rest of the world, isn't it? So it's
Anyway,
it's not ideal. Speaking of not ideal, let's just kick off with a quick chat then about the man. Salah's been on the screen the whole time because I didn't have the correct slide on, but this is the correct slide. It's Haaland with everyone's friend Pep Guardiola. Now, when we start to prepare for our streams, of course, we don't just do it like now. We set our schedule and we add to it throughout the week. So when we started this, that's why I posted, Haaland's gone from he can barely walk to we're going to see him in training on Thursday and have a look at him in a week. Like, it's a Christmas miracle. Like, how have you gone from the man can't walk to get your boots on, lad, we're having a training session? And I get it if it was against a bigger opposition, like, say they were playing Liverpool this week and you want to say they're out, but they're against Palace this week. So we had that information from FPL Focal that I acted on as well. The fact that his dad and his brother, is it his dad, his brother, and his girlfriend all sold him. But that was before Luton. And I found out that after I transferred him out. I've already transferred Haaland out. It is what it is. Why have I done it? I don't know. Tien, you posted saying something like just to get that extra 0.1 million in the bank or whatever. Maybe you're right. I cannot tell you why I've made that decision because I was probably going to take a hit this week anyway. I don't need the money. I'm keeping an extra 0.3 in the bank just so I can upgrade Kabore. Who cares? Why am I making this transfer now? I shouldn't have done it. I'll hold my hands up. That was bad. When we did our talk about elite managers, the key thing I said was patience. That's why I'm not an elite FPL manager. I'll talk about it and I know what to do. I just don't do it myself. I shouldn't have transferred Haaland out this early. It's that simple. Unless he started to really tumble down, like he was losing 0.1 million every single day, and you were going to end up being out like like a million because whoever you wanted goes up 1 or 2, and then Haaland kept going down. I shouldn't have done it. But I'm still going to look on the bright side because he is still definitely out next game week because it's a blank, right? And the players that we're looking at, money's not an issue, but you've got Solanke, who's popular. You've got Watkins. Raul Jimenez is poking his head up as well. But my original advice, like the whole time, has been, if you've got the bench to deal with it, don't sell him. Like, I literally don't have anyone. I would have to be playing Archer and Kabore and also hoping, with no bench, and hope that everyone else starts. And I've got players like Diaby, who's now a rotation risk, and Tsimikas, who isn't nailed. So, should you sell Haaland? The simple thing for me is, if you do have a decent bench, like a Chelsea defender coming in, or just a good enough bench with one sat on your bench, I wouldn't sell him. Or at least don't spread the money. Sell him, but don't go spreading the money around. Just sell him for Solanke, and then in a couple game weeks, sell Solanke if you want back to Haaland. Do like a 1-for-1 transfer if you're that bothered. But don't spread the money out and then find yourself in a pickle because you can't bring him back in. But yeah, don't sell him if you don't have to. But I had to. I've got Reece James, Trippier's banned. I've got Archer, Kabore. If someone else is injured as well that I already transferred out, Pedro was a rotation. Like, yeah, it's a mess. It's a mess. So yeah, that's what I'm going to say. Ryan, selling Haaland, already done it. Thoughts?
No, I haven't done it yet. He's still in the team. I'm gonna wait closer to the deadline and decide on that. Now, if we don't get any news, then yeah, I would sell him, most likely, because the chances are there is more chance that he is missing the week than actually playing. But we'll have to wait and see. But if he's out, I'll sell him for Solanke. Keep that money. Probably won't use it. If I do use it, then what happens is I'll probably bring Haaland back in game week 20 and not in game week 19 because there's a 2-day gap between Everton and Sheffield United for Manchester City. So coming back from Saudi Arabia, what are the chances he's going to play against Everton away? So we'll have to kind of wait and see in terms of that. But if I do use the money elsewhere to maybe upgrade a defender tomorrow, then I would wait in game week 20, sell Salah to fund Haaland back in because Salah is playing Newcastle at that moment, even though it is at home. So we'll have to kind of wait and see with regards to that. But for the moment, keep in Haaland until we get maybe press conference news, which may not be useful at all, given Pep, and then potentially leaks, which are probably more useful than Pep at this moment.
Yeah. See, I was at the same mind as well, because when we talked about this last week, I've got Diaz. So I would have gone Diaz to like Garnacho as my bench option, and then Archer up to Haaland. But Liverpool's got Burnley away, and Haaland's got Everton. Haaland could do it against anyone, but I just don't think Everton away screams hat-trick. You know, I don't think Everton away is an easy game for anyone. But this Palace home game, with how Palace have been recently, if he does play, I'm gonna poop.
It's a problem.
I'm gonna poop my pants, basically. Tien, thoughts? Haaland, sell, buy, keep.
And Lucian go first because I think my point follows better after Lucian.
Okay, Lucian.
Why, Tim? Why? Right. Here we go. Well, I've sold Haaland once before, and I am pretty decisive about selling him this time round. I'm pretty decisive. Nothing to do with Haaland's output per se. It's just more of observing City's output in general. I just think that Christmas is a time where City doesn't really thrash teams 3-0, 4-0. I think this is the period where they get solid like 2-0, 2-1, 3-1 wins. And I just don't see Haaland bagging hat tricks because that's the requirement, right, of investing 14 million in Haaland. When I sold Haaland for this particular -8, I had to make it count, and I am going to make it count. The players I have brought in, well, I had to sell a potentially injured Gordon because I know from experience that hamstrings are no joke. Like the moment you feel a tight hamstring, it takes ages to recover. I'm not even going to talk about whether it's a tear or strain. Like hamstrings have to be dealt with very carefully, and even if you recover from a hamstring, whatever, you are easily susceptible to injuring it again. So that for me was the signal that Gordon had overstressed himself due to Champions League commitments, and yeah, the opportunity was there to go from Gordon to Son. So I am back with my worst enemy in my team. You know what they say, right? Keep your enemies closer. So I have Son, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and well, as Rob said, right, I like pain. So I
Jackson.
have pain in my squad. Yeah. I have those three players over Haaland, Gordon, and Tsimikas. For me, it's a no-brainer because I look at my midfield now. Whew, it's Salah, Son, Saka, Odegaard. I mean,
Solid.
yeah, and I have exactly enough money to turn Darwin into Watkins next week.
Anyone. Darwin into a desktop table and you'll get similar returns.
So I've got everything played out. It's there. The window is there, and all I have to do is survive. Haaland, before and after the Club World Cup. I mean, who knows, right? They might even rest him for the Club World Cup. There's every chance of that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
resting for like the
I.
semi-final that they'll probably comfortably win and then play him in the final, right?
Mm.
Uh,
So, yeah, and as you guys have rightly said, I mean, for me, it's just my attempt at achieving a template breaker because right now I know for a fact that barely anybody, no, literally nobody owns Trippier and Trent at the same time. And once you have Trippier, Trent, and Pedro Porro all in the same side, that's it. That's your 3-5-2 setup. Literally nobody has that right now. When Trippier comes back for Burnley? No. Forest? No. Was it Sheffield United? Oh no, Luton, sorry. Yes, when Trippier is back from suspension against Luton, my goodness. Uh, a Trippier, Trent, Porro back three is going to look blindingly fantastic. Yeah, so
if
I'm just
Trippier's
gunning for
okay. Apparently he
yeah,
was
yeah.
limping after the game yesterday, but he's not needed till the 23rd, which is 9 days. That's
Yeah.
a hell of a
I've got
backline.
plenty of differentials. Yeah, I've got plenty of differentials to sell. Son can go, Odegaard can go, Jackson can go. I mean, I've got so much flexibility that literally anyone can go for if I want Haaland back. It's just a matter of, quickly saving the 2 transfers and doing it with a -4. Easily back.
So you took a -8 for this?
Yes.
Oh, good. So if I'm on a -8 as well, I don't feel as bad. Don't want to do it alone, Lucian. That's what it is. I am still a believer in Jackson, man. Like, I didn't sell him because I still think he's great value at 6.9, I think he is. Like, I still really like him. I still do. I might end up going 3-4-3 and having Haaland, Solanke, and Jackson as my front three. I really think if Mudryk can get some more of an end product, I do think that there's a great link between Mudryk and Jackson, and I think that there would have been a great link between Nkunku and Jackson before he got injured. So I'm all for Jackson. I think there's not a lot you can go wrong for 6.9 million. As long as do you have Watkins?
Next week. I'm not gonna have him against Brentford.
Yeah.
I think Brentford are okay defensively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you'll have him next week for Sheffield United,
Yes,
right? So
absolutely. Selling Darwin for that, yeah.
So there you go. Nice and easy. So, Tien, you wanted to follow on from Lucian?
Yeah, no, I think just to kind of wrap up what all three of you have said, it's a cliche, right? It's so team dependent, and your three teams have basically kind of painted a slightly different story. It really depends on how your team's set up. So I think Rob, you're kind of like in need because your strike force is very weakened otherwise. I think Ryan is okay, so he's obviously waiting for more news, and Lucian is just going forward, like take the opportunity to attack the template. So it's depends on how the team is set up, depending on how you want to play the game as well. So the play style come into play, and yeah, like the team that Lucian said, like just looks brilliant. It's on fire. But obviously behind that is a -8 and then potentially -4 and -8 down the line to get Haaland back as well, which may pay off. We don't know that, but it's it's just deciding what you want to do based on what your play style is and what are you aiming for. Where you are now rank wise as well. So I think for me, it's just a few questions you need to ask yourself. So obviously, who is coming in for him is important. So Solanke and Watkins seem to be the the hot properties for now. If you don't have either, then it does make sense to get them in for Haaland. I'm not sure about Jackson, but he's on my ban list. But anyway, and if you haven't sold, then maybe decide ahead of the deadline what would trigger that sell. So I think Ryan said that if there's no news, he will sell. So So how much doubt does it have to be for you to sell? I think it's unlikely that we have a definite answer from Pep, because we know Pep. He will just say, yeah, it's going to be a late fitness
Touch and go.
assessment. We will see. No, he said we will see. So there may be leaks, but we don't know that. So yeah, just decide for yourself what would trigger the sale. And then finally, yeah, but what is the plan to get him back? When and how? So then it depends. That decides whether you want to spread the funds like Lucian does, or maybe like Rob, would just like park the funds in your bank and so that you can get him back easily in one move, for example. There are pros and cons for both, because parking the money in the bank, you lose the opportunity. You're betting on that one single striker to score your points in the next few game weeks. Whereas spread in the funds, obviously you have more opportunity to get the points, but then it also mean that hits and transfer costs that you have to spend to get him back. There's just no one single answer for this. So for me personally, because I've already have Watkins and Solanke, so I don't really need any striker. Um, I have one free transfer, and my defense is where I need to sort out first, because I only have 2 playing defenders. Right. So if I sell Haaland, it'll be 4 hit, definitely 4 hit. So I would need to have a very strong suspicion that he's not starting in this weekend to sell. And if I do sell, I'll probably leaning toward just buying a striker and park the fund so that I can get him straight back whenever he's back and fit from game week 19 onwards. So, but that's for my team. I think you three have 3 different ways to deal with Haaland. I think they're all valid.
I think it works out pretty well, because we're all doing different things for different reasons, right? Like I had to do it because I was like really struggling with injuries and stuff. Lucian's attacking the template, and you guys are like waiting for sort of a bit more confirmation. Hopefully, it comes. But I know we talked about hits before, about wants and needs and when to do it. And like I said, if I take a -8 now, in a couple of game weeks I'll have 2 free transfers. But what I'll probably do is I'll probably sell Watkins again to Haaland because he's away to United, but Diaz has Burnley. And then the next game week I've got 2 free transfers, and that's when I'll do Diaz to Garnacho and Archer up to Watkins again and do the okie dokie. But I'll only do that if I've got nothing to do. But yeah, it's all team dependent. But if you can hold it and the money's fine, wait for press conferences. But you have all basically just said, don't hold your breath. It feels so unlikely. It'd be great, but it feels so unlikely Pep's going to sit down and say, yep, Haaland's great to go. He'll be there tomorrow. Or equally, he's not ready for this one. We're going to save him for the Club World Cup. Like, what are the odds on that? I think they're incredibly low. Like, it's just going to be, we'll see, late fitness test, touch and go. He's walking all right. He's feeling, I'll check with him later. I need to talk to the medical staff, things like that. So
Training session tomorrow.
We'll check him later, and we'll see how he is on grass. Just for final, so me and Lucian have sold him, right? He's gone. I'm holding the money. Lucian's already spread it in his -8. So just to double check again, Ryan, if you don't get any solid news, are you going to sell him?
Yes,
Right.
because I have Gordon as well, and I can't risk, because my bench has Trippier and Branthwaite, both are suspended, and I'm down to Ursula, who will play again for Sheffield United, but I can't afford both Haaland and Gordon not playing, so I need to take a -4.
Right. And Tien, if you don't get solid news, you are...
Depending on how I feel. Because no news, but then there's no news slightly towards S. Yes, he's might be fit, or no news, but
okay, no news at all.
No.
Pep's just going to sit there and he's going to say, I don't know.
I'm also waiting on Gordon as well. So, yeah.
I just saw a quote about half an hour ago, and it said something like, Gordon, he's not injured, but he's feeling something in his hamstring and he can't play to his highest level.
He was in a protective boot. If I remember seeing a picture.
For his
No, that's fake.
No,
That
For his hamstring.
FPL Go
no,
Photoshop
that's
that.
fake. No, the quote continues saying that he think he's fine.
Okay. Then I should be fine.
But that's like how say that Gordon thinks he's fine,
Yeah.
but then obviously we'll have to check again. So yeah. But anyway,
But anything with a
I'm
hamstring.
50-50.
So you're still 50-50 and Ryan will sell. What's your bench, Tien, if you don't sell Haaland and he doesn't play? And Gordon, who'll come in?
Oh, I only have Diaby at the moment.
On the bench?
But obviously he can't replace two. Right, so you come on for one of them.
But Diaby's
and
on
then
your
that's it.
bench.
Yeah.
And I need him to start. Oh dear. This is a bad game week to be in, isn't it? Oh my word. So let's carry on this bad misfortune with our player picks. So I made a mistake last week because when I went back to check it, I'm the defender pick. I don't know why. The week before, my wildcard pick was Gahey, the Palace defender. I don't know why. But this was the pick that I said was the toughest of the season so far to pick a defender. Because I didn't think any team in the Premier League would keep 2 out of 4 clean sheets. And I chose Palace defender because they're usually reliable and they usually do a decent job. And they had the better of most fixtures. Anderson got 1.2 points, 1.0. Luton, West Ham away, Bournemouth at home, Liverpool at home. Should have got more than 4 points. It's a fail. Simple as that. But it really was the worst run for all defenders. There was not a lot of clean sheets from any reliable assets. So there you go. It wasn't good. Nothing else to say, I think. This is one of my favourite notes I've seen so far from Lucian. He was the midfielder pick, Etse, and all it says here is, am I allowed purple? Now, for people that don't know what that is, we have green pick, it was a good pick, points, and they delivered. Orange, it's maybe a little bit underwhelming. Maybe they played all right, but didn't get as many points as we thought they should. Red is, it just didn't work out. It wasn't a great pick, and they didn't get the points. Purple is the special color we have because for some reason we have this rotten luck of choosing a player and them getting injured in like the first or second game out of the 4. So which game week did Etse get injured in, Lucian?
The one against Luton, 24? No, 48 minutes.
The first
48
one.
minutes against Luton lasted. Yeah, the first one. Just like Ben White. No, Ben White did not even start the first game. But at least Ben
Just
White
like
came on for
Botman.
an assist. Yeah.
So this is a purple one because he got 1 point in 4 games, but he played 48 minutes. I don't think there's any doubt amongst us that if Etse was fit, he would have played like almost 90 minutes in those 4 games. Right? I mean, he's like an easy first 11 player for Palace. Injured after 48 minutes, and he missed the defender game that I chose, right? So I think that's fair to say it's a purple pick because he got injured in 48 minutes. Moving on to the forward, and it's the popular man. Tien, you said it yourself. People looking at Watkins and Solanke. They are the exact 2 strikers I brought in because they and Raul Jimenez are the only ones even worth considering at the moment. And here we have your pick. You are on fire with your picks. You're leading the picking scores so far this season amongst FPLIQ. Talk about Solanke.
So Solanke, picked him 4 weeks ago. So he plays Sheffield United. He got only 2 points. Villa, he scored 1 goal, got 6. Palace, only 2 points, and Man United 7, where he scored a pretty nice goal. I think he was very unlucky to only get 2 goals when Bournemouth scored in the last 4. And when I picked him, he was like 55%. He scored like 55% of Bournemouth's goals. So, but nevertheless, he still looked very dangerous, if not even more than the previous 12 game that he played. So, I think I looked at the last 4 game weeks. He had the highest XG of all players. not just forwards, all players in the last 4 game weeks. And that was much better than his previous 12 games. He took more shots in the box, and he has underperformed his XG by more than 1 goal or 1 XG. He actually had 6 big chances in 4 games compared to 7 in the previous 12. But obviously, previously, I think he scored 5 out of 7. This time, he only scored 2 out of 6. So obviously, that correlates to the underperformance. And more importantly, I said that following the 4 weeks that we chose for the player pick, he now will go into another good run of three very juicy fixtures as well. So he's currently top of the transfer in for this game week. So I went in early. I went with my pick. I gone for him 4 game weeks ago, and I'm actually gutted that I didn't have more gain from owning him before he will become the very template pick from this week. So yeah, but anyway, I'm happy to share the points.
Yeah, because when you said about those chances, I remember when I said I wasn't bringing Solanke in because Bournemouth were lower mid-table for attacking threat, but he's so important to their attack, and now it's just clicking for Bournemouth and the playing in the way that they want to be doing. Similar to just like Fulham, they're just 2 teams that you start the season, and in pre-season when Lucy and I did all the videos, we were just like, they're not going to get relegated. They're not going to be in Europe. They're just going to have better assets priced elsewhere. But Solanke's goals again and again, and you're right. I think against Sheffield United, he easily could have got something in that easily. And didn't he hit the post against Man United, right?
I think
he hit the
did.
post as well against United, wasn't it him?
Can't remember.
Could be wrong, but either way, he's a great pick going forward for the next 3. And for 6.5 million, I think he's still 6.5, right? He's not
6.6, I think.
6.6 now, but he's still only 10% owned. We always have to remember we're in this bubble, right? So yeah, on Twitter and on the content that you watch, you're probably going to see a lot of people saying Solanke, but still only 10% owned because people will say it, but they won't do it, right? But I'm surprised how many times we've done that, how we've sat there and bought the player we've talked about, which I quite like. And finishing off with another purple pick, because Ryan had the wild card. He could choose any player in the entire game. He could have chosen a player who doesn't get injured, who had a good injury record until Ryan picked him. Ryan, who was your wild card pick?
I picked Mbeumo, so he got Arsenal 2-pointer, Luton 5-pointer, and then in the 3rd game he got injured after getting the penalty for Brighton. So I went back there and looked at what I said for him, and I told like if I got 2 returns from 4 games, I would have been happy, and I basically got 2 returns from 4 games. Could have been a bit more, but it is what it is. I take it. I will definitely go back to him. Like whenever the fixtures turn properly and he's fit and all. But yeah, I'm happy with the points. But yeah, again, another injury player.
Yeah, I think he the week I think I got in the week after he played Liverpool, and even when all season he's been him and Saka, but particularly Mbeumo because he was just scoring penalties all the time or getting a goal right at the end of the game. When I watched him without when he played Liverpool, and I was just like, I need to have this guy in. But he'll also be off to AFCON, right? So it's not just an injury.
Yes.
He'll be off to AFCON. And I think someone mentioned it as well in the chat. Lucian, you know Jackson will be off to AFCON as well, right?
Okay, then yeah, I'll sell him for Haaland when he goes.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
So that could be an easy hold for a few games. And AFCON's game week 21, is that right, guys? AFCON and the Asian Cup is game week 21. And that's another reason I said about Haaland. If you're going to spread the money around, that's fine because you're probably going to have to sell Salah and or Son because it's going to be like maybe 3 or 4 game weeks depending on how they do and how it goes. So just bear that in mind. I mean, I'm all right with putting that as a green pick, to be honest. I know he got injured.
I think
but
it's a green. I think it's a
I give
green
it a green.
for the time.
Easy.
Yeah, for the time he played. Yeah.
It's like he got the returns. He got what you wanted from the 4 games, and injury cut him short. He didn't get dropped. He wasn't bad. I think we'd all be looking to maybe bring him back in if he wasn't injured or going to AFCON, right? Because I wasn't happy about selling him. So, yeah, I think he's a great player. Moving forward, so I'm back on the defense. And it would have been Reece James. And I did have Reece James. I do still have Reece James. I haven't sold him yet. It would have been Reece James for this pick because Reece James would have been playing Sheffield United, Wolves, Palace, and Luton in the next 4. And then once again, the man made out of wet paper tissue. The man made of Weetabix. Looks set for months out. It's the hopeful. It's the football hope within me. The Englishman supporting my fellow brethren, and he's let me down. He's let himself down. No, it's not his fault. I hate to see it. It always brings up players in the past that just can't shake an injury, and he just can't shake the it's almost at the point where you just kind of want to just say, dude, take the season off. Like, take the rest of this season. Chelsea, you're not fighting relegation. You're not fighting for the Premier League. Just go and have surgery, go and have a rest, go and really deep dive into it. Don't stop trying to come back slowly. Stop trying to come back. Don't go to training. Just whatever the hell's going on with your hamstrings, go and sort it out. Because it's just I think it's gonna destroy his career if he doesn't keep his hamstrings.
Like a Daniel Sturridge, right?
Strong. There's loads of examples, and I said this about the Alan Shearer thing when he said, like, oh, players complaining about fixture congestion, need to grow up, they get paid all this money. It's like, this is why they start younger. There's a picture of Reece James trying to tackle Phil Foden from like 10 years ago. Like, these guys are doing high intensity training programs and academies and matches from like the age of 6 all the way up. And that's why we're getting earlier, younger wonder kids that end up peaking when they're like 23 and then declining when they're 28. When in the past, you'd say the prime was 28, 29, 30, and now it's everything's shifting younger. I just think it's funny that Shearer sat there and said that, and the dude was out for months to over years with like ACL injuries, and it's like, dude, why do you think you had he can't bend his knees properly anymore, and he's there going, oh, the moaning about fixture congestion. It's like, look at yourself, man. Your own body's knackered because of this. Anyway, enough about Reece James. My guy's Pedro Porro, the guy I'm going to bring in. So I am sticking to my idea, and it is gutting because it was between James and Porro. And it just came to that. I wanted a Chelsea defender for that fixture run. I wanted Reece James because I felt Colwill was going to be the more defensive-minded left back, and Reece James would be given a little bit more of a license to be the more attacking fullback. And I felt the fixtures for a long time at Chelsea would have been fine for Reece James. Whereas Porro is an amazing pick, but it just kind of feels like it's like difficult game, good, difficult, good. And Spurs for clean sheets. I know Chelsea aren't great for clean sheets, but the fixtures were there. Not great for clean sheets. But Porro's a fantastic pick. He was my second choice, but now he's been promoted to first choice because Reece James is out injured. I put in my notes here. He's a little bit like Trent, but he's about 2.6, 2.7 million cheaper. Forest away, Everton at home, Brighton away, Bournemouth at home. Gives me hope for a couple of clean sheets this time. 2 clean sheets and 1 of the return would be great, in my opinion, for any defender. So there you go. My pick is Porro. Going to the man on the screen right now. Who's picking him? It's Lucien. Lucien, midfielder pick.
Yes, I like fixtures, and I mean, if that Chelsea loss to Everton were anything to go by, it basically proves that you have to stick to a fixed 11 in order to actually get results. I think Pochettino has every right to exercise his previous 11 that at least got some results, right, before he gets sacked himself. And what we saw against Everton was Palmer actually feeding Mudryk a lot of balls down the left side just to target Ashley Young. And I think that's a legitimate tactic. That is something that Mudryk has every right to exploit over the next 4 game weeks. Like, I mean, game week 17, Ahmed Hozic for Sheffield United. Game week 18, Wolves Semedo. 19, Joe Ward. Hey, hands up. So just the potential of the next 3 alone puts him in the position to get plenty of assists. I'm just a bit disappointed that he probably doesn't have a goal threat here. And but I would happily have him if, let's say, he drops to the same price as Cole Palmer over the next 3 weeks, because the ingredients are there. I mean, just this breakdown of Chelsea's right side, right, with the injury of Reece James. I mean, it puts Chelsea in a really weird position that, even if Malo Gusto plays, there's just no cohesion down that right side, and they'd rather have everything flow through the left. That's how individualistic Chelsea are right now. I mean, why not just put Cucurella at left back just to help Modric out? It's all there. And I think most important is this: when Jackson eventually came on for Broya in the Everton game, Jackson actually drifted to the left to double up with Modric, and that for me was the signal to actually invest in Jackson, because at least I see some form of partnership, assuming Nkunku doesn't come back immediately. So for me, I mean, yeah, I'd be hopeful for 3 assists. Some of them maybe dodgy penalty wins and stuff like that, but yeah, I'm very hopeful about Mudrik's chances over just the next 4, specifically for the next 4 opponents.
Yeah, I honestly, like I said it even in my sort of in pre-season, Mudryk just needs the end product, but I do see something between Mudryk and Jackson, and I think if one of them starts to hit, the other one will, and those two can work really, really well together. I think that it could be something good, and the fixture run that's coming, and with the likes of like we've talked about before, Salah, Son, and Burmo, all those players going off to AFCON. And the Asian Cup. Like, why not? We're going to have a bit of fun, right? If Haaland is back, we're all going to have Haaland again at some point. But Salah and Son are huge players in FPL. And there'll be a 4-week window where it's like some will hold, some will sell and not get them back. Some will spread the money out. And, look at players like this with the runs that they're going to have. So it's like the next couple of weeks, like auditions for a lot of these players, I think. Tien, you are the forward pick, the least wanted position in FPLIQ, because we just don't rate forwards, I think, this year. But you've been given the envious task of choosing a forward. Who are you backing for the next 4?
I mean, I could be lazy and say Solanke again, right? Because he's arguably the best forward to get in the next 4-game week. But of course, I'm not going to pick him again. So I think instead I'm going for Gabriel Jesus. He's playing Brighton this game week, and Brighton always concede. So hopefully Jesus will be in the goals or assists. Liverpool next is a bit tough away from home as well. But West Ham at home after that, and Fulham in the 4th game. So I think the fixtures are okay for Jesus to bang some returns. I think in the last 4-game weeks since returning from injury, he started all 4, and he scored 1 and assist 1. A non-pen XGI of 2.46, which is not bad at all. I think he's ranked like 4th amongst all forwards, so not bad at all. He had some big chances. He had plenty of goal attempts. I think 10 goal attempts, all inside the box as well. So he's definitely taking shots, and the attacking potential is there. Especially if you're looking for someone to either cover Saka if you don't have Saka, or if you can potentially add to Saka as well if you want to really believe in that Arsenal attack. So yeah, for him, I'm hoping for 3 attacking returns in the next 4-game weeks.
Yeah.
And if I do end up selling Haaland, I might go for him.
I think that's a fine pick, and again, there's not a lot on the front line to go for. I've said before about Saka, like, yeah, he's consistent, but I like Gabriel Jesus, not because of that position, just for goals, but I think there's good assist potential for whoever plays for Arsenal down the middle as well. So a pretty solid pick if you can stay fit. I think that's another player that has that sort of question mark. And when I'm looking at, I've picked Porro, and we've got Mudryk and Gabriel Jesus. someone's going to get injured. Hopefully, it's not going to be. One of them has to be injured because we don't have a clean run of players who don't get some kind of injury. And I think we're hoping it's not going to be Ryan's wildcard pick.
Let's hope not. But so I think I picked him as my midfield choice as well in game week 15. I'm going to pick him again as my wildcard pick, and that is Son Heung-min. So 4 good fixtures in Forest, Everton, Brighton, and Bournemouth. And also potential captain option in 18 against Everton. And sticking to my word, I've also gone and bought him in this week. So let's see.
Two of you brought him in. So you're all coming back. You're coming back to the Korean king, except Tien, who just refuses to bring him. But I don't know. I don't know why I thought you already had him, Ryan. But you've got him in now.
I sold him and then bought him back in. I sold him for wildcard.
Right, because you were slightly later than us on the wildcard, right? What was your wildcard week again?
10.
10, yeah. So that's not too bad. Right, let's go into the matchups. It is mayhem at Manchester United once again. Can we have a season where something isn't dramatic at Old Trafford? I don't think so. But quick look at Manchester United assets before we talk about Liverpool against Man United. Are there any that we're looking at? Third on the fixture ticker from game week 17 to 26. And we've said before, players are going to be gone. Are we looking at any? My one here is, I don't think it's crazy to suggest Bruno Fernandes for when Son and Salah are off for international duty. He's a proven asset. Game week 20 to 25, United are second on the fixture ticker. They've got Forest, Spurs at home, Wolves away, West Ham at home, Villa and Luton. So it's not ideal, but it can be pretty slim pickings if you've already got the likes of other template players that people have at this point. Haaland for 6.9 would be a punt, but United just don't have reliable forwards or goal-scoring threat. Dalot would be the choice defender, but again, he's 5.1 million. He's not value for money. However, during that time period, if you are someone who's going to spend the funds, you're going to have sold Son. You're going to have sold Salah, who's the second most expensive player in the game, and you're going to have sold Son, who is the third most expensive player in the game, I think. So money's not going to be an issue. So even though Dalot isn't worth 5.1 million right now, you'll have so much money that 5.1 million is not going to matter to you, but you would probably have to sell them again. But personally, no, it's just Bruno, because if Ten Hag goes, I think we'll look at United again, because how many times have we said it since right at the start of the season? Bruno, for me, is one of the best 10s in the world. Play him as a 10. It's not that hard. It's not that deep. Like, don't play him on the wing. Don't make him as a 6. Don't make him as a box. Put him at the 10. Let him create. He's one of the best creators in the game. And I don't know. And I feel stupid because Ten Hag is like a multi-winning title coach, and he's got that Dutch knowledge of football in his brain. I'm just like, why? What is happening? I know the players aren't exactly like great for him or whatever it is, but there you go. I still think Bruno can do it on his day. He's still on penalties. He's always a threat. It's just the team around him can't score, don't try. There's some kind of drama there all the time. But I would rather have a punt, I think, on like a Mudryk at Chelsea and be a bit exciting than go for a Man United asset right now. But we've got weeks, right? Again, we look ahead. We don't just... If Bruno hauls in game week 18, and we're not going to sit here in game week 19 and say, oh yeah, go get Bruno, guys. This is the point of trying to be good at FPL and creating content and things like that, is to do it before it happens, and not be those kind of people that say, guys, get Solanke in. Solanke's really good. Well, Tien pointed Solanke out 4 weeks ago. Right? That's the point. There's no point in doing it when everyone else is pointing at him, saying, oh, get this guy. That was a little compliment for you there, Tien. I need to bring you down later somehow. But I can't because you're top of the FPLIQ mini league. Going on then, Lucian, anyone from... Before we go to the United fans, Lucian, anyone from United?
I think a prerequisite of us being interested in Manchester United is for Erik ten Hag to be sacked. I think if Erik ten Hag does not get sacked, we have absolutely no interest in Man United, no matter how undervalued they get. I do feel that there is a bit of wrestling between player culture and manager culture in Man United right now. I think it's quite obvious that Bruno wants to make plays, but Erik ten Hag is trying to implement a system that is partially system-based and partially freedom. I think that's how he achieved it at Ajax. The problem is that Ajax is a financially dominant team in Holland itself because of their owners and whatever it is. Whereas, yeah, Man United, they've got competition. So, it's easy to say that Ten Hag is deliberate in his choice of system, right? We've talked about it all of preseason, but yeah, I think there have been stages where Man United just failed to keep it simple and to stick with the simple. And when you overcomplicate things, you just suffer against teams who do the simple things but better. It's as simple as that. So, we'll talk about matchups later where I will criticize Man United in more specific detail. But for now, yeah, I do feel that once the toxic is cleared, and I sincerely mean once the toxic players are cleared for specific reasons, yeah, invest in the youth. I think Rasmus Højlund has so much potential as a linkman, as a wide player, as somebody who can cut in and deal damage from the flanks. That yeah, Højlund will be a gem once Man United get all the toxic personalities out of the way. There are so many more bad apples there.
Yep.
There's so much to clear in January.
And they've got good young players like Garnacho, is it Palestri, Manu, the central defensive midfielder, sort of central midfield player. They've got some good players that they can try. And it is about the players. We said before, Van Gaal is Van Gaal's fault. Mourinho, it's Mourinho's fault. Solskjaer is Solskjaer's fault. Was it Rangnick? Rangnick, it's his fault. Right, it's always their fault. Like, they started to offload it with the likes of Paul Pogba, like that kind of toxic arrogance that's there. But there's still players there that obviously have it. But equally, I said this way early at the start. We talked, I think, about in pre-season as well, losing. But in the early weeks of the season, I said about Ten Hag just feels like that kind of stubborn manager. He has his method, he has his play style, and I'm not going to change it. And the problem is, the United players aren't the players that can do what he wants, right? And I know it takes time to mold. And someone made a good post. I think it was a United fan that's just fed up of people just wanting to sack the manager because they say Arteta went in and they finished like 8th and 5th and 8th, and then they challenged for the title. They had like 3 seasons to do it. Klopp, when he went to Liverpool, they were like 8th, 5th, 7th, and then they started to challenge. They had like 3 seasons before. United, they want it in the first season, like right now. And everyone's saying, "Oh, give Ten Hag time," but it's December, and like I'm looking at the fact that they're going to sack him for Graham Potter, which I'm a big fan of Graham Potter, but that's still not going to fix this problem. But also the fact that what I said about company with Burnley is Ten Hag is used to managing the best. Ajax were way clear of everyone else in the Dutch Eredivisie. Now he's not got the best team in the league. So he can't dominate every game and can't play the way he wants to play because, one, he doesn't have the players to do what he wants them to do, and 2, they're not the best team in the league. So we'll go to the 2 United fans who are very clear in their passion and devotion to their club and the belief and the hope that they have for the future of the Red Devils. Ryan, anyone that you are looking to bring in from Manchester United?
My answer to this was lol. Nope.
Yep. And Tien, what was your answer to this?
No thanks.
Yep. so the 2 United
can I just,
fans.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I started the season with just Rashford. Right? I've never had Bruno. So I didn't even trust United at the start of the season, even though preseason wasn't too bad. And like they are looking way worse now compared to the start of the season. So until, as you say, until big things change, I can't see me going back there anytime soon. Now, obviously, sacking the manager is an easy way out. It never works. It hasn't worked, and it won't work because the toxicity and the culture and everything else at the club is like there's so many problems. So there won't be a quick fix. Now, United players, a lot of them are good players, and they tend to respond to a new manager. So FPL wise, if Ten Hag does get the sack, which obviously I have no opinion on that, but if it does happen, and depending on who comes in, there may be a window of opportunity to jump onto their players. You know, if the fixtures line up and the new manager comes in and there is a clear sign of manager bounce, they are the best. That is the best time to jump back on, because players, United players, do respond very well to a new manager. Until 18 months in, they will start to rebel again. So, so yeah. But for now, I see no signs of any potential improvement for us to invest in FPL.
But it's mad because terrible season, sack the manager, the players are useless, everything's over, I hate everything, get rid of the ball, get... Big Ange, Spurs. Wonderful football. What a revelation. We love watching Spurs. Son's on fire. We don't need Harry Kane. There's 3 points between you. There's 3 points between Spurs and United. Man City, Pep Guardiola, constant treble champions from last season. You supposedly like biggest rivals. You're 5 points behind them. Sorry, 6 points behind them. You're 10 points off top of the league. Do you ever just think that sometimes United, it's just a little bit too dramatic for what it is and people just should just chill out?
It's always too dramatic.
I-
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think United fans know where they really are, and the
Yeah.
table lies. The table really
Yeah,
It
I
lies.
should
think
be
so.
lower
United-
down.
Yeah.
No, 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 no. United should be there, but City are the ones that have screwed up. City are the ones that have not been getting the results that they were supposed to get, and that's why City are lower than they should be.
I just think United should be low because if you look at the results we played, it's all luck. A heavy influence of luck. If you were to make a table based off just XG, United would be significantly low because of the amount of times they got pummeled by every single opponent they've played. But yeah, it's not even. You can sack the manager, you can sack the players. I don't know. It's a culture problem that's not going to be fixed for the moment. But I think Ten Hag also has to take a bit of blame because he's playing a system and a style that doesn't involve our best players. Like you got Varane sit on the bench in all the important games. Played against Bayern and they looked good in defense. But yeah,
I think it's that bad. I mean, you can look at it two sides. Like, you got a lucky winner to get 3 points against Fulham because Paulinho made a mistake. But
Everton.
Everton, you smashed them 3-0. United against Chelsea, you
That was
deserved
really
the win.
lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, but United, you did well against Chelsea. I think that was a deserved win. But I think you were really
that
unlucky
was probably
against...
the only good game.
Yeah, the only one I picked out. But no, I think when you lost 3-1 to Arsenal, you were potentially winning that 2-1 in the last minute, and then they've scored 2 really late goals away from home. I don't think you played badly against Arsenal when you lost at the Emirates.
I think it's been a downward spiral of performance.
Since
the
then.
points, yeah, but the points have been trickling. So we're beating the poor teams, even though it's narrowly, but the performance just keeps getting worse and worse and worse.
And going out of Europe really doesn't help. Going out bottom and going out of all of you, that might help in the long term. Not dealing with like the Europa League or the Conference League or whatever, just going out and sorting yourselves out might actually help. But we'll see.
That might have been the last Champions League game for a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's just weird as well. You guys are like in 6th and you've got like -3 goal difference. Like, it's just weird to be so high up with such a bad goal difference. But anyway, moving on now. Trent, is he worth it? For this, I said, over forwards, other than Watkins, Haaland, Solanke, yes, he is, if that's your formation, like a 4-5-1 or 4-4-2. Over midfielders, no. Liverpool can be defensively frail, but we know Trent can be a fantastic player in FPL. But for 8.2 million now, it's just too much to hope for clean sheets and rely on basically a central defensive midfielder getting assists, despite his lovely distribution ability. His score is slightly skewed by a couple of big hauls against Fulham and Sheffield United, the former where they actually conceded 3 goals, and he got a goal and an assist, and that's something you just can't rely on Trent getting in games. Salah will be after AFCON, which reduces that assist potential because you've got someone not as good trying to put his chances away. And the run of fixtures he's about to have isn't as good as the ones that he's just had. Right? So he's had his good fixtures. He's had some good fixtures already. If he was to have those fixtures again, then yeah, bring him in. But it's one of them where you might just be a touch too late because the Fulham home game is gone. The Sheffield United game has gone. They're going to be facing like Arsenal and United and Newcastle in the next 3. So clean sheets, that's took a massive nosedive, and he's not necessarily going to have the freedom to assist very easily. He has 75 points. So when I said about comparing to midfielders, he's got the same as Han Hee-chan and Douglas Luiz over the season. And it actually puts him behind Everton's Doucouré, all about 2 to 3 million cheaper than what Trent is. I don't know how you can afford Trent and other important players without a huge sacrifice. So I know, for example, Lucian's going because he's not got Haaland, but Haaland's that question mark. If everyone's back fit and fighting, you can't have them all. Like, there's no way. Lucian said it himself. You've not seen Trent with the big hitters and Trippier because you just literally can't afford it. So I just don't think, unless you're running like a 4-5-1, but then it's Watkins against Trent, and I think Watkins outscores. I think Watkins is the better pick. So it's just, he beats all the forwards, he doesn't beat the midfielders. So if you're in a 3-5-2, it then just becomes like Trent against Watkins, and I just think, yeah, that's my thing. I don't think he's worth 8.2 million. The good fixtures are gone. I think there's better prices and team structures because you're going to have to make some big sacrifices if you want like Salah, Son, and Haaland, because you can't have Trent and Trippier, Saka as well. Just literally impossible. Ryan, Trent?
So I think the price is a big problem. Now he's at 8.2, so it's a lot of money. And I've said it before as well. If I'm spending that amount of money on a defender, I want my clean sheets. They should be kind of bread and butter. And if I look at Liverpool's, you mentioned next 3. I look at Liverpool's next 7 fixtures. Maybe, okay, they keep a clean sheet against United probably. And they probably keep a clean sheet against Burnley. After that, they've got Arsenal. They face them twice. They got Newcastle in one of them. They got Bournemouth, who are looking pretty good now. And they got Chelsea, who are also, attacking-wise, pretty good. And both Bournemouth and Chelsea right now are like top 2 teams for attack in the last 6 game weeks. So from a clean sheet point of view, I don't see many clean sheets. And I think I don't know if this is like we missed that first wave of Trent ownership. Similar to how, Trippier got that 40 points in like 4 game weeks something, where then we were like, okay, you might have missed that boat on the first wave. You have to try and catch the next wave. So I feel like that next wave could be maybe like after game week 24, because there's like a good set of fixtures after that. So that is probably where I think you would want to target. But I think now the fixtures are just not easy.
Well, fully agree. Lucian?
Right. First, Trent advocate here. I already mentioned that Trent is a template breaker, and for me, it's exactly everything as a counterpoint to Rob's points here. Because yes, I do not like an 8.2 million defensive midfielder spraying passes, and that is exactly what Trent is not. Because Liverpool have been starting with Wataru Endo in defensive midfield. He does come off in the second half, and they do move Trent further forward. But while Endo plays as DM, you see Trent make all these runs all the way to the left half of attacking midfield, right? I mean, you look at that last minute goal against Sheffield United, right? You look at that zone where Trent scored from. All of these things are basically Salah playing a creator role in the first half just for Trent and Soboslai and whoever it is to move forward. And then you look at the second half where Trent becomes, well, he does play in midfield, and I do feel that his attacking potential dampens there because Salah becomes the main goal threat. But that is only because Liverpool put themselves in a bad position to begin with. So I think this is where we differ in opinion, because for me, actually Trent's value comes in corners. And I think, especially against Man United, where they did so badly, I think, yeah, Trent's set piece value over the next 4 games in particular are going to shine like a diamond. It's not the open play assists, it's not even the goals or the link up play with whoever that plays on the right side. It's just plain and simple set pieces, because even Liverpool themselves, right? Matip is out for the season, so Van Dijk is going to be partnering with someone like Kwanzaa or Konate in the at centre back. So I do believe that attack is the only way to go. And yes, Liverpool have spread so much of their goals in between their midfielders, and that is why I feel that Trent at least, is someone that can have the same attacking returns as Soboslai and Luis Diaz, right? For pretty much like a little bit more expensive than the two, but with a slightly higher chance of clean sheets and more points for a goal, right? I think that's what we want. It's the same argument for picking a midfielder over a forward. Yeah, so I'm really really keen of with Trent just for the next 4 games. I think Bournemouth, yes, is a difficult game to keep clean sheets, but attacking wise, Trent, from any situation can deliver. And Newcastle especially, I feel really optimistic about. I think Liverpool and Trent especially will deliver in these big games.
I think we need to think about the goals though. Like, it's the assists with Trent. Like, he scored 2 goals for the whole of last season. He scored 2 goals for the whole of the season before that. And he scored 2 goals for the whole of the season before that. And he scored 2 goals already now. Right? So I know it's more points for a goal, but it's the assists. And with his, again, it's a new system that he is. All those great years he had was when he was playing at that freedom wing back. He's only got 3 assists so far this season. He got last year was a poor year, and he got 11. And we're almost halfway through the season. He's only got 3. So I think we still need to compare Trent to previous seasons, because I said it right at the start why I've not had him all season is because he's not the same threat.
I mean, you've got to look at the rate of assists, right? I mean, 11 assists over the whole season is what we expect Trent to do. But how many assists has Trent had over the last 4 games where the fixtures were good? And I even remember the assist. One of it was a corner for Van Dijk. The other one was a free kick against Fulham that bounced off the bar of Leno and in. So, I mean, still reasonable, but it's just the form of the last 4 games that gives us that golden moment where tactics, fixtures, and everything fits together just so that Trent can maintain that rate and then die off after January. I'd happily sell Trent after January.
Yeah. Jan?
I think I've said it multiple times. You buy a player before they haul, or try to, not after. The Trent has his hauls in the last 3 or 4 game weeks, and why was that? Because he played Fulham, Sheffield United, and Crystal Palace, so pretty easy fixtures. And what he said was entirely correct, Lucian. Like, he's shying because the fixtures and everything line up for him. I'm certainly not expecting the same levels of returns in the upcoming fixtures. Maybe this game week against United. Like, obviously, they're playing United at this moment in time is good. But yeah, after that, as you said, you've got Arsenal twice, Newcastle, Chelsea, and Bournemouth and Burnley away. Like, they're certainly not super easy fixture for both clean sheets and attacking potential. So I guess it comes down to how much you value his potential output or his price comparative to others. So, for example, I'm happily paying, nearly 3 million less for Pedro Porro. I expect to get about the same amount of attacking returns in the next 4 to 6 game weeks. They're literally playing the same, same attacking team, similar kind of position, taking up good position, doing corners and so assists and goals potentials. They're very similar. Why would you pay nearly 3 million more for Trent when he can have Porro? Now, obviously, like Lucian, you can have both because you are selling Haaland, which is great. There's no problem with that at all. But obviously, the cost of that is that you're going to have to sell one of them later on to get Haaland back, and the -8 that you are having now, and then the -4, -8 later when you sell them, and whether that is worth the point that he potentially gets you in that window of time that you own in him. So I think it comes down to what you expect and what is the cost of bringing him in, because it's not easy. Like, he's so expensive, and he's not just expensive, but expensive defender means that you literally have to break the team structure to get him. Selling Trippier is another option because it's a lot easier to upgrade from Trippier to Trent. Now we know that Trippier is suspended for this coming game week, and whether he's fit or not, we have to wait and see. But if he's fit, then you want him for at least the next 2 weeks, right? So selling Trippier is probably not a good option either. But there is a good argument for saying, like, if you sell Haaland now and get Trent, then later on actually you can sell Trippier instead, because I think they have like 3 very tough fixtures against Arsenal, Man City, and Aston Villa, I think, from game week 20, which is where you want to switch that fund to get Haaland back. So that could be an option. So basically you do a switch from Trippier to Trent via owning both of them for when Haaland is out. That's not a bad option at all. But yeah, I just don't like the fact that you're taking multiple hits to get someone who may get an attacking return and may or may not keep any clean sheets in the next few game weeks. I just think that the opportunity to buy him has gone, or at least for the short term. Oh yeah, that's I don't think that the sacrifices are enough to, or the potential returns are enough to justify the sacrifices you have to make.
Okay. Fair point. So let's go on to the match itself, and we'll kick off with Lucian. So Liverpool at home to Manchester United. What's your thoughts on the match itself?
Well, I think it's time to rip the band-aid, right? Quick and fast, and talk about Man United's core issue. They are taking too many risks in possession, and they are just opening themselves up. There have been several accounts on Twitter that I've seen now that I subscribe to that talk about how Man United, when they move with the ball, they don't prepare themselves for when they lose the ball. They've got literally nothing to prepare themselves against counterattacks. This is not helped by the fact that Luke Shaw is playing centre back and he moves to left back. Bruno moves into literally the same zone. They open up all these angles to move forward, but they open themselves up literally to any dispossession they have. And it's not as if they have the most secure ball control in the final third. They push Amrabat and McTominay all the way up to number 10 to receive really difficult lofted passes from Onana, Bruno, Shaw even. It's heartbreaking to watch because in theory, Man United are supposed to have these players graduate from the academy, lead the line, and be the next generation of superstars. But they've been so put down by all these celebrity midfielders that have come over and just spoiled the crop. So I think Liverpool have 2 choices. They either overwhelm United's midfield and they just push past them, win the ball off United, and just smash them early and fast, or Liverpool take their time, dominate the ball, and eventually overpower them through set pieces. Because that is something Man United recently have shown. They have absolutely no cohesion, and without Maguire, without any sort of aerial presence, it's gonna get worse. So I think that's where we begin. That's where we begin our talking points.
Yeah, it said at Anfield against the United side just jumped out of Europe without Maguire, without Shaw. Suddenly my Diaz pick looks inspired because alongside Salah, because I think it sounds crazy to say, and it's the Darwin paradox again of like, do you really want to sell Darwin Núñez before he plays against this defense? it's a tough sell. Like, if you're looking for Watkins, you'd probably delay it one more week and just give Nunes one more shot. The Liverpool United game always has that extra buzz, and I see Liverpool pushing more to get the result to get back on top of the league. United, it just depends which version shows up. They often rise to the big occasions, and it's the games United should win. I always feel unconvinced by Man United. And lucky, you can say, win against Everton, but 3-0, and then they lose 1-0 against Newcastle, which doesn't look bad on paper, but it wasn't a good performance. Then a good display 2-1 against Chelsea, and then they get smashed 3-0 home at Bournemouth again, knocked out of Europe. But Maguire, is Varane fit? He's just dropped, right? So I don't think Maguire to Varane is a bad replacement. I don't know what's happening with Varane and Ten Hag. I don't know if there's just a disagreement there. You can't not rate a multiple La Liga Champions League winner. You just can't. Casemiro maybe doesn't have the legs for the Premier League now. Maybe he's just getting on a bit. Something's not right. But you just can't tell me that suddenly like Varane's a bad football player. If Liverpool are up for it though, and United are just a touch off the boil, it's going to be a bloodbath. It's going to be a massacre. It's at Anfield. They get buzzed for it. The players give that extra 10-20% because it's a big rivalry game. And the thing is, when we talk about like game management, when Lucian said before about City like not necessarily smashing teams, but it's why City assets aren't always the best pick, because they go maybe 2 goals up and then just play it around the back. Liverpool won't do that. If Liverpool are 3-0 up, they want 4. If they're 4-0 up, the fans want 5. The 5-0 up, they want to really put the dagger in the heart and make it 6. Right? They will not go 2-0 up and pass it around the back, because it's Manchester United and they want to destroy them, and the fans want to destroy them, and the players want to destroy them. If United turn up though, I can honestly see like a 2-2. I think United, they rise up to big games, and this is a bit. There's basically, for me, there's this and City. There's no bigger for Man United. It's just if they're not on it, if they're not taking this like, right, we're out of Europe, we're sick of this, we do back the manager, let's go and have Liverpool, and they go and fight face to face, fist to fist, they might do it. But if they're just a touch under, I think Liverpool's going to smash them like 4-0. So yeah, that's it. Because remember, I know United's attack isn't great, but you can always back on Bruno to do something. Garnacho might pull something out the bag. Anthony's going to do nothing, and Haaland might cause havoc and get a goal. I think there's still and Scott McTominay keeps popping up with goals as well recently. So it just depends whatever the hell they're going to do with him. But it just depends which Manchester United show up. If a normal Liverpool shows up, and United doesn't, they're going to smash them. Because I just don't see how they're going to stop them. Just could be one of them where United grind out like a 1-1 draw or something like that. But Liverpool, I don't see clean sheets for them because they're just not very good defensively themselves either a lot of the time. So, Ryan, how are you feeling about this matchup?
If we don't get hammered minimum 3-0, I'll consider that a good result. I just don't have any faith in the team or the manager to pull a result in a big game. He hasn't won a single game against the top 9 away from home, say for the last 13 or 14 months or something, some crazy stat like that. So United haven't won a single away game, so there's no hope that United can get anything from this game. It's more so how embarrassing is it going to be is the question. Now the defense will most likely be Onana, Dalot, Varane, Johnny Evans, and Reguilon as left back most likely, because Maguire injured, Shaw injured, Casemiro probably still not back. No Bruno Fernandes, so it's a paper thin squad at the moment. We'll see. I don't know. This is the one, like previous games, I've had hope whenever under previous managers, whenever United have played, because they've shown that they can get something. But I was just looking at the results. The last time United won at Anfield was under Van Gaal in 2016. It's a long time ago. So yeah, no hope. Just as long as it's not too embarrassing. It's a good thing that we're in Australia because it's so early in the morning. I can just go to sleep and not
Wake up
and
quickly, just like a bat. Look at the score, like, oh my god, just
yeah,
what is it? Oh my god, okay, we're done. Turn it off. You don't have to actually watch it.
yeah.
Perfect. Tien, thoughts? Any hope?
No, I actually said exactly the same. If we get away with less than 3-0 loss, I think I'm happy. I just look up a tweet from Opta analyst as well. Manchester United haven't scored at Anfield since 2018. So yeah, and no Bruno is a big blow. I mean, at least with Bruno, he tries very hard. Like he works his ass off for the team. So just imagine McTominay playing number 10, maybe. Yeah, and yeah, no first choice, second choice, even third choice centre back. No first choice, second choice left back. Onana is just yeah. Sorry, I have no hope.
Yeah, I actually kind of forgot that Bruno's not even available for this game as well. So your creative linchpin for the side is unavailable. It's not looking good, bruv. It's not looking good. And I think this is gonna reflect on captaincy this week. It's just one of those football feelings, guys, where it's like you've not got your captain and your best player. You've lost by captain and best player. I'm talking about Bruno Fernandes, not Harry Maguire. But you've also lost Maguire and lost Shaw. The public are against them. The fans are angry. They want the manager's blood. It just feels like it's the kind of game where like Johnny Evans is going to get man of the match because he's going to keep a clean sheet. You know, it just feels like, I don't know, I feel it in my bones. I hope I'm wrong because Salah's my captain, but
I mean, you could have said that for the Bayern game and had only one shot on target in a must-win game.
yeah, at home as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's but Bayern won't bring out the passion like Liverpool will. I know there's history, and I know that there's obviously things with United and Bayern, and it is Champions League. But when they get to Liverpool and they're all like swearing at them and throwing things at the bus, and you know really, and they know that Liverpool's the enemy. Like Bayern Munich's a big game, but Liverpool's the enemy.
Bro, I think I heard from I was listening to FPL Signet today, and I think he mentioned that the Liverpool stand is going to be opened this week as well. The newly
the top
renovated
bit.
part. Yeah, so now they'll have maximum capacity.
Yeah. And it's just who's going to bring the team, who's going to pull them, who's going to say. And I just feel like this is a game that Casemiro would have been perfect in. I know he's slow, but just mentally, Varane and Casemiro are the ones that will. They've been at the new camp, man. Like with Real Madrid, I just think that's the experience that can pull them through. They make them maybe use them a little bit better. We said way at the start that Casemiro should never been like alone as a holding player, but anyway, we'll move on. It's looking like a resounding Liverpool victory, though. Newcastle Fulham. Just a quick one then, because we don't want to go on for too long. But are we getting a bit shaky on Newcastle players? How many assets, or is it time to actually sell? I've just said here, Newcastle are a bit leggy and a bit tired, but they are out of Europe now, completely out of Europe. I still believe they're good and I won't sell them. Defense is still incredibly cheap. I've got Dubravka, Lascelles, and Trippier. I'm actually tripled up on the defense, but Gordon's still a great price at 6.2 million if he's not out for a long period of time. They've got Fulham, Luton, and Forest in the next three. The three after that, though, is Liverpool, City, and Villa. They're like the worst three fixtures that you could want. So you could either sell then or just weather the storm. I would just still play Trippier, maybe bench Gordon and the other defenders, ride out the storm, because after those bad three fixtures, they're on a good roll again. So they've got three fantastic fixtures. Then the three worst fixtures, because that Villa game is at Villa, where they just score for fun and win against literally everyone for quite a while now. So just maybe play Trippier, bench, maybe even play Gordon if you fancy it, but bench them. Hold. I just hold. I still think the value's great for them, and I don't think there's anywhere I'd want to go. Ryan, shaky on Newcastle?
Not really. I just think they need a rest. They badly need a rest, and I think that the Trippier suspension maybe came at a good time as well for him, in terms of getting that like forced rest. Now Gordon will have to wait and see. Dubravka, there were rumors about some injury, but then he played the Champions League. We'll see whether that's actually a real thing or not. And then there's the January transfer window. I guess in one way, Newcastle actually getting knocked out of the Champions League is probably good for them from a Premier League point of view and also from an FPL point of view. But maybe it also means that trying to sign a goalkeeper in January might not as be easy as well, because you can attract someone saying that you have Champions League football, but when there is no Champions League football, it might be a different story. So I'm keeping them. They've got good fixtures upcoming, but in 3 game weeks time, I think they've got City, Liverpool, and Villa. And in that point, I might think of maybe offloading the likes of a Gordon, potentially.
Yeah. I just don't think Newcastle are going to sign a goalkeeper. Because Pope's going to be back in like March or whatever. Dubravka's a great keeper, even with his mystery illness, shoulder problem or whatever he's got. Then they've still got Karius. Like, what goalkeeper is going to join Newcastle knowing that they're probably going to be out of the team by April?
Yeah, true.
Unless David De Gea goes for 6 months, but then you're not going to trust an important thing about goalkeepers is they need match fitness more than arguably any other position, because it's such a unique position. Like, David De Gea is not nowhere. He can't just walk into a Premier League game and then what? He's going to just maybe just a 6-month contract. That's fine, but then what's the point in having Dubravka and Karius if you're not going to trust? They're good second and third choice goalkeepers. That's good quality of depth. I just don't see the fact that Newcastle want to follow the fair play rule. They don't care about money, but they want to follow the rules. They want to go out and they want to splash another 40, 50 million on a defender or a midfielder or a striker. What's the point in using up that financial fair play gap on a goalkeeper that they don't even need for anything longer than 2-3 months when you've got Dubravka and Karius in the wings? Anyway, Lucian, Newcastle, shaky?
It is, yeah, it is around this time last year when Newcastle lost uh so many wingers that I think they started fielding players like Ryan Fraser on the wing. Remember last year, Ryan Fraser? Yeah, that budget defender. I had him anyway. Um, uh, yeah, it's about this time of the year when Newcastle have so many players injured that they get creative. They really get creative. So as long as Bruno Guimaraes isn't suspended or injured, Newcastle will be okay. Really. I think at this stage Newcastle will not get thrashed so long as Bruno Guimaraes and the two central midfielders can hold the fort. It just so happens that Trippier was exposed against Sun really badly, and that happens. So I do feel that with Newcastle, Trippier is a very strong hold because you need Newcastle to have a couple of games to keep things going. And I think um, there will be a couple of games where it is very likely we'll see Isak and Wilson play together, like start together, now that Newcastle are out of the Champions League. So it all comes down to looking at Newcastle's latest system without Gordon, because I think we have to at least partially assume that Gordon will not feature. So they're going to rely on um, Murphy, or is Murphy still out? I don't know. But Newcastle are going to be really creative with their wingers. And, as long as they don't feel Matt Ritchie, Newcastle should be okay. I do feel though that they would invest in a winger in the January window. That is probably something we should look out for if Almiron doesn't catch fire. But okay, if there is one thing we know about Newcastle, because several Newcastle fans I know have said that this was meant to be a 5 to 10 year project by the owners. And just the fact that they're playing in Champions League football now already shows that they are way ahead of schedule. So for them to be suffering injuries such as these is actually a good sign. It just means that we are expecting them to fall back on their bare bones and just follow the finisher. Whoever Newcastle brings up to be the new inform guy, if it's not Almiron, then it's going to be somebody else. Just follow the goal trail. Because if Newcastle and Eddie Howe does something well, it's exploiting something as part of the system that works and go over and over and over and over again until it runs dry. I mean, that's great, right, for FPL. So just keep a lookout if Gordon is out and just see who the new Gordon is.
Murphy's out till mid-January. It won't be him either. They are bare bones. Bare bones, Tien. Does that put you off? Are you shaky on Newcastle?
Not yet, and not until Eddie Howe come out and say that Trippier's going to be out for like 4 to 6 weeks, or Gordon's going to be out for like 3 to 4 weeks, or something. Like, I need confirmation that they're actually out. Like, if it's just like, oh, a doubt for a week, like Trippier's got, getting his rest anyway. And Gordon, we have to see how serious that injury is. It doesn't look very serious, so even if he stayed out one game, I think they are fine hold. And yeah, I think I agree with you. Dubravka is the good keeper. Just keep for now until things do actually change. There's no need to panic. Before, like I'm panic about my actual players that are not playing, actually not playing. For the foreseeable future. So yeah, I think they find a hold.
Okay, so just a quick touch on Fulham. Are they flash in the pan, or any assets seriously considering to bring in? So I'll just keep this brief. I think Leno's still a fantastic goalkeeper. I was going to start the season with him. I wish I did, because that's when I bench boosted, and he would still probably be my goalkeeper now. And Raul Jimenez for 5.3 million, who's in a great run of form. I was so happy. I even said, I think he took away my Matty Cash clean sheet. And I was like, I'm not even that angry, because I'm really happy after all the horrible injury he went through. That really, like, this guy was getting touted to go from Wolves to like United and Arsenal and all these big clubs, and then he got that horrible injury when he banged his head with David Luiz, and he just didn't look back. And now he's smashing them in. And you guys know my tactic this season. I've had big man, little man up front. I've had expensive Haaland and cheap Pedro. Archer started a couple of game weeks. I've just not had faith in the front line. And if Haaland and that was still fit, he'd be a serious consideration as my rotating third striker with a fifth midfielder or fourth defender, because 5.3 million, fantastic value. But I do not trust the defence to keep clean sheets, and I have no interest in any of the midfielders. Ryan, anything from Fulham?
I think so. There's value in Fulham, in Leno as a goalkeeper option. If anyone still hasn't got a goalkeeper, I think he's probably the best goalkeeper at the moment. Highest point scorer as well in terms of goalkeeper. Jimenez, good budget, 5.2 million, I think, right now. Good budget striker. Plays Burnley in game week 18. If anyone is thinking about free hitting as well in game week 18, could be a decent option. Apart from that, initially I would have said Willian, but then he's flagged, so probably not. That's basically it. Robinson is another one, but on 4 yellows, so that's also something to kind of keep an eye out for.
Yeah. Lucian?
Well, okay, so we need to talk about sides like Fulham and Bournemouth, right? Who are absolutely on fire right now. Basically, if you are a Premier League side, or at least if you are a Premier League side that has a manager that comes in somewhere randomly from Europe, you know how foreign managers, right? They have cycles, just like English managers. I'm just gonna put it out there. For foreign managers, all is well until it is not. That is a very simple philosophy where they bring their thing in, they bring the bunch of players, coaching staff, and whatever it is, and they just try. They implement their philosophy. It might take half a season, it might be instant, it might take a full season to get things going, but that is how mid-table teams survive. And then they suffer second season syndrome. So just like Bournemouth, Fulham under Marco Silva, right, had this huge question mark hanging over them, sorry, right? We talked about this in preseason. Second season syndrome. Will Fulham continue to play their so-called rock and roll style of football as they enter the Premier League with, right, being so dominant in the Championship, or will they like falter? And right now, as it is, we can at least safely say that most of their starting 11, I think, bar Robinson, isn't really like a starter, you know. So they've changed so much from the days of Rodak as goalkeeper, using Mitrovic as a target man. Now they've completely changed. They've even dropped Harrison Reed finally, and they've played Tom Kenny at left central midfield. So it's a completely different dynamic now, and it works. It works because well, they finally get to utilize Kenny's passing quality, right? So much has been asked of what happens when Andres Pereira doesn't give you goals, right? We've talked about Andres Pereira all of preseason, and he's basically turned into the workhorse of the team, trying to bring other players into the fray. They've tried it with Raul, they've tried it with Vinicius, they've tried it with Willian, they've tried it with Harry Wilson even, and the solution is Tom Kenny. Like everything happens on that left side, and that's how they've won 5-0 twice. Just punishing Forest, punishing West Ham that way. Now, I'm not gonna tout a Fulham defender. I think that fixture run has long passed. But um, right now Fulham are at a turning point because up against Newcastle, serious opposition with Bournemouth, Arsenal, and Chelsea up next. Right, we get to see Fulham actually under pressure, and I think the decision will be a lot clearer after this Newcastle game because, first of all, Fulham will be playing away from home, right? The last time they played away from home, they lost 4-3 to Liverpool barely. And, you know, the goals are there and the system is changing such that when you play Iwobi at right wing, you have all these creative players on the left. Never mind if Willian is absent, but they have all these creative players on the left. I mean, take your pick, right? If you really want to own a Fulham player, you have to decide whether it's going to be multiple creators and you want a slice of that pie, or you want the goal scorers and you want someone like Raul Jimenez to enable your squad. Now, that being said, I am going to tout Matias Cunha as a rival to Raul Jimenez, right? Talk about friendly fire. Because I do feel that at that budget, at least we know that Cunha is the talisman for Wolves, like in terms of football, not in terms of goal scoring ability. But um, the question is, will Raul Jimenez get a majority of Fulham's chances? I would say no, because they've just got so many quality attackers that are working right now. So I do feel also that a lot of Fulham's inflation comes from the fact that they had 2 clean sheets against Forest and West Ham in a row. Like, honestly, if Fulham won 5-2 and 5-1 against Forest and West Ham, we wouldn't be talking about them so much. It's just the fact that they won so convincingly without reply that, they've just had so many paper over the crack situations that just have not been exploited, which Liverpool did pretty well. So I don't know who will do it for Newcastle, but if you look at underlying stats, I don't think Fulham's rise is as significant as Bournemouth's, for example, because I've had plenty of questions thrown at me of how Bournemouth's stats have finally just, come good defensively. Whereas Fulham, I'm pretty sure they're still conceding quite a lot of big chances if you take out the Forest and the West Ham game.
Okay. So, TN finishing us off with the Fulham players. Anyone?
Yes, I don't think I want to add too much. All the names you've mentioned. Jimenez is an option, but I think Quentin has just joined as well, and he put the same question. Solanke, Jimenez, and Cunha. And I think Ryan, you put like Solanke first, Cunha second, and Jimenez third. I think I agree, but Solanke is like clear in front. Like, why would he go for Cunha when his fixtures are not as good? Fulham is in this team in form, but the fixtures are not as good, and as Lucian just said, they're still a bit suspect. Whereas Solanke got both form and fixture. So obviously, his price is slightly higher than the other two. But if you can afford, then I don't think there's a question. So I mean, if you've already got Solanke and you want Jimenez as a sort of ultra differential option, then yeah, of course, he's enables like other moves. But to buy him over Solanke, I don't think it makes a lot of sense. Other than that, yeah, right, you got some value options there. Leno is a good goalkeeper, but I don't think anyone will be in a good position to just make a goalkeeper transfer this week when he got so many other problems taking hits from
Minus
left, right,
12.
and
Let's
centre.
go, boys.
Minus 12 for Leno. That doesn't sound right.
Let's go. I think let's go into the game then, and we'll go back to Lucien for the matchup then. So you think Fulham's going to keep on their winning ways, or is away days going to catch up to them? What were you thinking about this matchup?
Uh, well, yeah. So the first thing you look at immediately is that Newcastle don't attack through a particular zone. Again, this is assuming that Gordon isn't fit. With Newcastle's case, right now, right in this particular matchup, if whatever 11 Newcastle play, there is one thing that they guarantee. It is high intensity and high press. No matter who they play at home, they are almost guaranteed to overwhelm you with their press, and this will severely test Fulham's resolve at the back, because Fulham had no pressure against them when they played Forest and West Ham. So yeah, that's the first question everyone has to address, because if Newcastle actually overwhelm Fulham, then Newcastle are just going to run away with the game. Doesn't matter who scores, they're just going to run away with the game. But if they don't, then we see tit for tat sort of matchup where Fulham eventually do come into play, and with Trippier banned, well, Fulham's creative left is going to go up against Livramento and whoever, whatever winger that defends on that right flank. That is going to be a massive, massive matchup, because that is what personally I foresee Fulham doing, going toe to toe with Newcastle instead of Newcastle absolutely running them over. I think finally we should look at how Fulham actually put in quite a number of crosses, at least in this recent setup. So the question comes down to, will Dubravka actually dominate his box, or will somebody take over? Because without Dan Burn in there, they do not have the same aerial presence as they used to. So yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I said as well about that. The fact no Trippier, I don't think it's the worst. Even though they're pretty bare bones, they've got decent wing backs that can come in. So I think Livramento will go and play the Trippier role on the right, and Hall will go back as the left. And again, they've had another midweek game. Bit of disappointment for them to get knocked out. I think of Europe. I just feel leggy is the good word, and against a fully fit, in form Fulham side who are rested as well. And 16 goals in 4 games is mad for this Fulham side. But I still think the quality from Newcastle's midfield is going to shine through this Fulham one. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 win here. And even if the crosses are coming in, Dubravka's a great goalkeeper, and Lascelles and Shah are the perfect kind of defenders, I think, to quell that threat. So I think it'll be, and St James's Park is usually a great. I know they've just had disappointment there now against a very good AC Milan side, but I think they'll be back to winning ways. The fans will get behind them, and again, we said earlier, I think it's great for FPL point of view, the fact that now this legginess which is in with the Champions, not just the Premier League 3 games a week or whatever, but with the Champions League in there as well, that's gone now. So for the rest of this season, pretty much, it's just going to be the Premier League. So we can start to rule out the fatigue being the big issue for Newcastle, because it has been a big issue, I think, for Newcastle. Ryan, your thoughts on the matchup?
I think Newcastle should bounce back. At home, they're generally a good team. If Gordon is fit, hopefully he can continue his streak of returning at home so far. So hopefully that happens. And I think Dan Burn should be back as well. So I won't be surprised if Livramento plays right back, Dan Burn left back, because he did play in the Champions League. Got a few minutes today as well. So that's one to keep an eye out for. Should strengthen their defense as well. Might be low scoring though. So I'll take a 1-0 if that is the case.
Yeah, I went 2-1 because I just think that they're getting goals. But yeah, you're right, Burn. I just didn't know if they were going to rush him back to start a game, because he came off the bench in the Champions League. But if you can come off the bench, maybe you can start. So then the back four is pretty much what it was. I know it's Trippier for Livramento, but I don't think quality-wise that's a huge decline, because Livramento's been excellent since he's been playing in the Premier League from back in Southampton. So I think it'll be low scoring. I think I'm going to side with that as well. I said 2-1 myself. Tien, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I've got 1-0 as well. I think St James Park is a fortress in terms of Yeah, like everything for them. So I think they will have a much tighter game. Obviously trying to brush away the disappointment in Europe. But they've only got, you've got to focus on the league, and they need to start, keeping clean sheets, and what's the better way than doing it at home? No, Trippier, does weaken the attack and ball progression and all, but yeah, I think they will get away with a narrow 1-0 win.
I hope you two are right, because I said I had triple Newcastle defense. I know Trippier's out, but I still got Dubravka and Lascelles here, guys. So I'll take that 1-0. That'd be lovely. So we'll finish off with captaincy, and I did put in our notes to assume Haaland was out, but obviously when we started the document, we weren't too sure. But I still think we're all, well, I mean, me and Lucian don't have a choice, but I think all four of us are leaning towards this man for captain this week. It is Mo Salah. So it was part of our matchup this week with Liverpool and United. Lucy and I, we can't captain Haaland because we don't have him. So Salah becomes the main pick. Now, in the notes here, Son is close. Son at Forest is tempting, but despite recent form, I think Forest is still a tough place to go to. And we saw that even when Nottingham Forest were getting smashed, the fans are really behind Cooper. And he did a really good press conference where he's like, I don't deserve it. Like, I'm embarrassed. I don't deserve the love and support of this wonderful city and these wonderful fans. And that's so rare. It's so rare to get smashed 5-0 and the fans are chanting your name because they know he's under pressure from, I think, a board that feel, because with all the players that they sign and money that they've got, it doesn't feel like they'd have any loyalty. They'd be happy to sack him and go and try and get a new manager, but the fans have made it absolutely crystal clear that they want him in the job. And the players haven't, there doesn't seem to be like a downing of tools. It doesn't feel like Nottingham Forest don't want to play for him anymore. So I just think an away game for Spurs, it is a good fixture. Forest are looking bad, but at Forest, I think it's a place where they can turn it around. And I just think what we talked about with United, pumped up game, it's at Anfield. Salah is still around something like 10 points a game or something ridiculous at home at Anfield. Injuries to United's defence. So even though United is a tougher fixture than Forest, it's the pumped up energy, and that's why I'm leaning towards Mo Salah. I just think it's funny that the two United fans who do still both have Haaland at this moment are both still against Haaland and backing Salah against their own player. So, Ryan?
Yeah, it's Salah, even if Haaland is fit.
Yeah. Just because of those trouble at United and the injuries.
It's
and
just
stuff.
everything is just there for Salah to deliver. And also, like, let's just take for the example, let's say Haaland is carrying a knock. There might be a chance even if he starts, probably won't play the full 90 potentially,
or get hurt.
So, yeah. So that's what I'm going Salah.
Something we should know just before I finish with Tien and Lucian is it's Liverpool's European game today.
Yes.
But I mean, we don't think Salah's gonna play. Oh, Salah might get like 20 minutes or something, right?
I don't think he travelled.
I don't even think he travelled, because they're already done, right? So he has played a few minutes, but they have rested their mate. Because we talked about this Liverpool. I mentioned last week that Liverpool are like the best team that are in Europe, but actually rotate in Europe, not in the Premier League. So they were the best Premier League players to have because they were playing their reserves in Europe, whereas other teams were rotating in the Premier League. So if he's on 0 minutes, it's a fully fresh, fit Salah as well, right? So Tien.
Yeah, no question, Salah. So I think you are right. Salah averaged 9.7 points at home this season. So yeah, his home form is great. Liverpool's home form is great. Manchester United are potentially in the worst form because it's on they've been on a decline ever since. So even if Haaland is potentially playing, I still captain Salah because There's always a chance that he can rest, on the bench or something. Where Salah will probably guarantee to play 90. Now beyond that, so for captaincy, normally I look for who, which attacker playing Sheffield United. But this week is Chelsea, so no thanks. And then the next one I look at is Luton at home. So Solanke is playing Luton at home. I think he's an outside differential shout for anyone who want to go against the EL pick, who is Salah. And for the Spurs game, I actually put Pedro Porro as a very, very punty differential shout. Anyone who's really want to be risky over Son. Well, maybe because I don't have Son, so I don't want him to do well.
No.
But Pedro Porro has a hole in him, which is waiting to explode for a little while now.
Well, I hope so, because I need to pay off this
could
-8.
be this game. Could be this game.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a very, very risky punty pick if anyone want to go there.
Yeah, captaincy, they're going to have the trust. Solanke's a big enough differential. If he does well, you're happy with it. I don't think I trust him with the captaincy. And also, guys, sort out your vice captaincy. I've got no sympathy for people who captain Haaland and didn't vice captain Salah, and they vice captain some random player because they didn't sort it out. Make sure your vice captain is, maybe it's Son or Porro or Solanke or Jackson for Lucien because he's got, sort out that vice captain. I don't think I would vice captain Haaland. I know Salah is more than likely not to play, but I probably wouldn't even vice captain Haaland because of what we talked about before. So, Lucien, we'll finish with you. Captaincy, your Haaland
I
list.
think my vice captain is gonna be Son.
Yeah,
same.
mine is, yeah. Wait,
Yeah.
can't be for you.
Yeah, my
You
vice
can't have Son.
Who?
Tien.
Me? Tien, no.
No, I don't have Son. So mine's on Solanke.
Just check mine.
Yeah.
Mine was on Watkins. I've just had to change it. My word. So you're just
Yeah.
Salah for captain, Lucien?
Oh, I mean, why not? I'm really hoping for 7-0. I'm very convinced it's going to be like 6-0, a 6-0 lead with a United consolation goal. Kind of like, remember when City beat United 6-3, right? That one game? Yeah, it's
6-2,
going to
I
be that
think,
sort of
yeah.
feeling. Because an ingredient for a 7-0 is that a midfielder has to break down in anger. And I feel that without Bruno Fernandes, the 7-0 capitulation won't happen. So they're gonna like keep their heads and make some sort of rational substitutions and maybe get a consolation goal here and there. Yeah, no, I mean it. I mean it because I do feel that Bruno, when he does well, does really well, and when he doesn't, just brings the whole team down to like heads down and that sort of status. So without Bruno in the side, I think United will lose with dignity. I just don't know what the Liverpool score will be.
Yeah. I said earlier with like Casemiro and Varane, like Bruno he can play in any team, and if he plays well, the whole team's average rises up because he can do something by himself. Who's gonna grab the bull by the horns for this Man United side? Who? Even Harry
Only
Maguire.
Garnacho.
But no, he's not. He's too young. Like he's not gonna.
exactly.
He's gonna get marked out of the game. Someone can crop him. I think he won't do anything. He's not good enough yet to take control of a game.
He's the only one with fighting spirit in that team. That's it.
But I just don't think he's got the quality yet to do anything about it. Like holding a puppy up by its neck, like it can like scrap and stuff, but it's not dangerous. Like I don't know who in this United side is going to say, right, I'm going to sort this out. I'm going to tackle ball. I'm going to do this. I think it's an
The irony is that I can foresee what will happen against United, and I'm just questioning the timing of it. I'm dead certain that United will concede a red card. I just don't know the timing of it. Like if United get it like somewhere near halftime, they will lose like 5-1 because they open themselves to set pieces. But if United concede a red card after halftime and they spend the last 30 minutes just parking the bus, then United do have a route to losing 3-0 instead of 6-0 or something.
And and I could think as well, like if Casemiro plays a couple of silly, like slow challenges to get a red card, like or maybe a Garnacho getting angry and kicking out or getting a second booking or something, like anything can happen. But I just think there's a lot there to say that Salah is is clearly the top choice again, and United are in for a tough weekend. But so have some FPL managers with how many hits we've had to take this year so far. But yeah, any final points before we depart for the week?
Just a quick one from me. I don't think Bournemouth will do well against Luton. After watching Luton play, I'm dead sure that this is not going to be Solanke's game. It's going to be one of the wingers because Luton deal with number 9s very, very well. Yeah, but they concede the pace a lot. Anytime somebody draws them out of position, like even when Man United did it and won 1-0, the damage came from the wingers, not the number 9s. So, yeah, that's definitely.
And the fact that Solanke is the most brought in player this game week so far, the curse is back.
Yes.
So, but it is Luton away, and there's a big difference with Luton away versus Luton at home. That's all we can hope for. But yeah, I think going to be an iffy week for a lot of people. We're not all. I don't think there's many people sat there with like 2 free transfers and no problems in their team with a great rank going, oh, what's everyone moaning about? I think we all have some issue or issues in our squad. I mean, everyone has at least one because you've got Haaland. Like most people I know have Haaland, right? Until we sold him. So there you go. Try and keep it cool. It might be a bad week for many people, but if not, just take some hits, have some fun. I'll take a -8 because I want to sort my team out, and it might work out in the end. So there we go. Thanks for joining us, guys. Leave any likes and subscribes. Follow us on our Twitter handles or X handles below. Keep an eye out as well for some shorts that we will upload, just 60 seconds, like answering questions or any debates of what we're doing or captaincy and things like that. That would be fantastic. So thank you very much for joining us. And as always, have a good